Welcome back. Today is a quiet edition. Let's have a look what I'm on. So the Super Soco TC Max, I've been on a Super Soco before. If you've been following the channel for a while, you'll have seen me on something very similar to this. But the one I went on then was a 50cc equivalent. This is the equivalent of a 125 motorcycle petrol bike. If you're into electric bikes, which I know a lot of people aren't, bear with me because these are loads of fun. Super Soco as a brand, if you can imagine, you've got your Zeros out there, and your Zeros are costing, I don't know what the cheapest one is now, it's probably in the teens, up to 20, 30,000 pounds, something like that. They're expensive bikes. These are more of a budget bike. I know you can buy brand new ones for a few £1,000s. Yes, it's still a lot of money. Yes, there are petrol bikes out there for similar price. However, these are environmentally friendly and they cost peanuts to run. I mean, this bike in particular, you plug it in, do an overnight charge, it will get somewhere in the region of 100 miles, maybe slightly less, depending on how angry you ride it. And to be fair, for me, the electric power on this thing is just, it's mind-blowing. So you end up always getting to normal road speeds quite quickly. Now, riding like that's brilliant and it's fun, but it will drain the battery. My bad, but it's about having fun, isn't it? Anyway, let's have a look around the bike the usual way, and I'll show you what it looks like a bit closer. So here we have the Super Soco TC Max on its sexy close-up. Now, initial impressions, you would think it is just a normal motorbike, I suppose, without an exhaust. Brakes wise, you've just got a single pot, single disc at the back, and then you've got a twin pot, single disc at the front. Now, it does have some rear pegs. However, you can see with the seat size, in fact I'll show you shortly when I'm sat on there, there's not a great deal of room for a passenger, but there is a grab rail should you wish to take one on there. Just bear in mind it's going to be nice and snug on there. This is a belt drive as well. Nice chunky sides down there. Let's have a look at our buttons. So very similar to a petrol powered bike really, it's just an industry standard horn, indicators, high low beam. Also to mention, your left hand side, because this isn't a geared bike, that is your back brake. On the right hand side you do have a cut-off switch. You've also got your modes. One is your slowest, or that's the most economical way of riding. Then you've got 2 and 3, 3 being the most power. Again, I'll compare them when we go out on a test ride. I'll show you the difference between 1, 2 and 3. Electric, you're always going to get a little power button like that, aren't you? On and off button. This is keyless as well, so as long as you've got your key on in your pocket, in your bag, whatever, this will just turn on. There is a key with it, but the key is just for your steering lock. So it does have an alarm and a mobilizer on it. So let's just unlock the bike, press the on button, and our screen comes to life. As far as the screen goes, there's not a great deal going on. You've got your kilometers on the outside, you've got your miles per hour in orange in the middle. So currently this is on 37%, and it's saying that we can do 32 miles in mode 1. So that fits in about right. So it'll be just short of 100 miles, I would have thought, on a full charge on mode 1. But that will be significantly reduced if you go into mode 3 and you're doing those higher speeds. You buy something like this, you're going to save loads of money on your fuel costs. And I know 125s don't use much fuel, but fuel is still more expensive than electricity. If you live with parents, for instance, this means you're riding for free because mummy and daddy can pay for it for you. Am I stereotyping there? But it's a 125, so certainly in the UK, most 125s are ridden by 17-year-olds because it's the learner option, I suppose. So yeah, you've got potential to just plug it in every night and then it's ready to go the day after, which is good. So from the front, again, just looks like a normal bike. As far as electric motorcycles go, this is exceptionally quiet. It's not like some of the bigger ones that I've ridden, like the Zeros. They have a really high pitch whine when you wind them up. This doesn't at all. It's just very, very quiet. So make sure you watch the test ride and you can see exactly what I'm talking about. I'll jump on, I'll show you the riding position and also the lack of room. Now bear in mind, I am in transition. I'm trying to lose a little bit of weight. However, at the minute, I've got a lot to go. So bear that in mind. If you're slimmer than me, you'll have more room, obviously. Flat foot, quite easily, to be fair. I can have a little bend in the knee and still have both feet firmly on the ground. And if you are a bigger guy, because I'm 5'8", so if you are 6 foot plus, this will feel like a child's bike for you. You'll still be able to ride it, you'll still be able to have fun on it, but it will feel small. So I think the riding position on this is actually quite sporty. Now, you can see when I've got my foot up, the controls are fairly central, but the bars themselves are quite low down. So you can see with my back, I am leant forward just ever so slightly. Now obviously if you're taller than me, you've got longer arms, you might be in a more comfortable position, but for me this is a slightly sporty stance of a bike. I've not had any issues with it. I've been on it for a while today. I'm actually enjoying it, and you've got to watch the test ride so you can see exactly why. Not a lot of play in the suspension, as you can see. It does feel like you're bottoming down like after like very little travel. So we'll take it on a couple of bumpy roads and I'll see how it fares. But my initial ride that I've had already, yeah, I've not got a lot to complain about. So if you're interested in bike reviews like this, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. It really helps the channel. It means that I can keep taking bikes out like this, and when the channel grows I get more bikes available to me. So help me help you. Actually no, you're just helping me and I'm boring you for 10 minutes. Yeah, sorry about that. I'll try and make it more exciting. Could do a little dance. Maybe I will if you subscribe. I won't, I can't dance. Let's just go for a test ride. Come on, let's go. Right, now you guys that are regulars to the channel will know I've done a Super Soco before, but the Super Soco that I did was the equivalent of a 50cc. This is the equivalent of a 125cc, so it is, as expected, it's got a little bit more in the tank. Jesus, that's loads faster. So the 50cc equivalent Super Soco. Now what impressed me with that bike was performance wise much better than any other 50cc I'd ever been on. Now this 125 version, it gets to your speed limit very, very quickly. And I'm still on mode number 1, which is the most economical mode to be in. It's like riding a push bike. When you're freewheeling a push bike and all you can hear is that rubber on the floor noise, and that's what this is like. Mode 1 is quite sprightly. I'm going to try it in mode 2 and we can see if there's a difference between 1 and 2. We're in mode 2 now. Oh, now, not a massive difference, but a difference nonetheless. 30 mile an hour now, we're just on a little stretch that's 40 mile an hour. So let's see how quickly it goes from 30 to 40. Stop Starting now. Okay, that's 40 miles an hour. So, not rapid by any stretch. Brake test coming up. So I'll get up to speed. Oh wow, they really are sharp. That's impressive actually. What I do find impressive is the actual 0 to 30 speed, or the way it gets to 30 is unbelievable. Now this little stretch here, when I've been on electric bikes in the past, you might get to about 20-ish miles an hour on this little straight. Let's see if I can get to 30 on this. It certainly feels capable of it, but let's give it a go. And I'm in mode 2, so we'll see how mode 2 fares. There's 30. Mode 3. Now, I'll do it again, standing start, so we'll see what this does now. Okay, so only a little bit faster. It probably got to about 32, something like that. Not a massive difference, but a difference nonetheless. I should imagine the modes on this are probably more to do with the top speed. No noise, moving off. Still strange, but do you know what? It is strangely satisfying. If you've ever been on an electric bike before, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. When you start moving off and you've just got that tyre noise on the floor, you know, just like you get when you're on a push bike. But as soon as you just twist that accelerator just slightly, little twist on the throttle, just makes you smile. Or it certainly makes me smile, because there's just no drama with the noise. And yet, just picks up speed really nice and smoothly. I keep going for the back brake with my foot that doesn't exist. Well, my foot exists, but the brake doesn't exist. You know what I mean. I've said it many a time, I'm a big fan of scooters, because I think scooters being that little bit smaller and easy to ride, because there's no gears, they just rev and go. I think scooters are brilliant for around town. Well, this just gives you a whole new dimension on that, because the bike itself seems to be a little bit slimmer than a scooter. There's no noise, so you don't have that constant buzzing bee noise that you can get with the smaller engine bikes. Now the only issue I would have personally is, whilst all of those things are good, it also means that motorists aren't going to see you, or well, they could see you, they just won't hear you. So that for me is a little bit of a worry. I mean, there's a decent light on the front, you are visible, but as we all know, being visible doesn't stop a car from pulling out in front of you. Sometimes being noisy and visible doesn't stop that, but when you don't have the noise, that can be a bit of a worry. I think it's also a worry, right on cue, as somebody just stepped out there, is people walking down the road will not hear this coming, like they won't hear a push bike coming. So I think you've got to consider that as well. You do have to adapt your riding style accordingly. For instance, you cannot just presume that everybody knows you're here. So if you are going to do a little bit of filtering, don't filter at full pelt, because they won't hear you coming. And if you're in a place where you've got loads of pedestrians like we've got currently here in Warrington Town Centre, you just have to bear in mind that if one of those decides they're going to run across the road because they can't hear any traffic coming, you've just got to be mindful and just be very, very careful of that. So again, you're not changing the way you ride, you're just changing your mindset and be more aware of how quiet the bike is. This plugs in like any laptop plugs in. Just looks like a very big laptop charger, to be fair. Quite heavy though. This bike won't suit some people, but it will suit others. It will take a full night to charge. Oh, while I was into Moto, the guys plugged it in for me, and in the space of about an hour it moved up about 15% in an hour. So that means you're gonna need, I don't know, I'm not gonna do me maths, but it's gonna need a full night's charge to get it to 100%. So if you're going out for the day riding, as long as you're doing less than 50 miles, you're alright. Otherwise, you're in for a long wait while it charges. But that's why these bikes don't suit everybody. Just makes me laugh that there's no noise. But there's the pedestrian. Look at that, right on cue. So they just walked out into the middle of the road with no looking, and they didn't look because they can't hear anything. And that's what you've got to be mindful of when you're riding something like this. But no different to riding a push bike, is it? When you ride a push bike, you are aware that people might just walk out in front of you, and this is exactly the same. Be aware of it, plan for it, and then when it happens, because it just happened to me in my time of riding it, you don't plough someone over because you're expecting them to do something silly like walk out in front of you. This bike and another one very similar to it is currently in the showroom at Into Moto. I'll put some details in the description if you're interested in one of these. That's going to do me. I will catch you on the next one. See you later.